I like to think of myself as an equal opportunities offender. I like to think I offend everyone and therefore no one, because it's kind of a blanket bombing approach to offence. It's like I'm not picking on any group, and also I'm not really making any points, am I? I'm just trying to make you laugh for a couple of hours. That's my only job in this world. I'm not trying to make any points or change anyone's mind about anything. And the best defense of a joke is always, it's just a joke. I was only joking. Relax, I'm just trying to make you giggle. When you try and say something that's true, earnestly, from the heart, that's when it can fuck up much more spectacularly in your face. I've got a story about this. Do you want to hear it? Yeah. It's a story about PC blowing up in a friend's face. So this mate of mine, it's quite a long story, which is unusual for me, but it's a doozy, you'll enjoy it. This mate of mine runs a comedy club, okay, at a university. He's in his mid-60s now, he's been running it since the early 80s, it's a legendary club. Anyway, runs this thing, he's quite a right-on kind of guy. If there's a petition to sign, he's signing it and forwarding the email to me. If there's a march to go on, he's on the march. Very right-on, political, involved kind of guy. Anyway, he runs this comedy club. This incident happened about 12 years ago. He decided to put on a night of American stand-up comedy. There happened to be 3 American stand-ups in London the same weekend. Okay, so he decided, well, instead of just booking one of them, I'll book all 3 of them. We'll make it like a themed evening, like the 4th of July. We'll get hot dogs and Budweiser and what have you. It'll be fun. So everyone comes to the evening. There's like 300 people in the club, and he's all excited about it. The first act goes up on stage. He's a black American stand-up out of New York City, and he does what I would refer to as an Uncle Tom routine. If you're not familiar with the terminology, that means he did a racist routine. All his jokes were based on negative, racist stereotypes. He got away with it. He was a very charismatic performer. He was very handsome, but the material was terrible. I mean, it was like, at best, it was white guys drive like this and black guys drive like this. Nonsense, ill-observed nonsense. At worst, it was stuff that would make your skin crawl, okay? He totally got away with it that night. He got a big round of applause at the end of about half an hour set, and he walked back to the green room at the club, and my mate went in after him, and he went up to him, and he said, I want a word. You'll get paid for tonight's gig, there's no problem with that, but you would not be welcome back at my club telling those kind of jokes. I think it's racist, I think it's wrong. I don't think it's okay for you to tell racist jokes just because you're a black guy. I think if anything, you should know better. I think it denigrates the struggle of the African American people, and you can never say that no one's told you so, because I'm telling you so right now, it's racist and it's wrong. And the comedian went, I agree. When you're right, you're right. But I'm the other black comic, I haven't been on yet.
It's always strange when a close friend gets into a relationship, right? Because you have an intimate relationship with one person and nothing with this new fucking, who are you? And now they come as a unit everywhere. And you have to be very careful about what stories you bring up. Because you don't know what has been shared and what has been strategically omitted. You don't want to incriminate your friend, right? So this girl, I've known her for a long time. We've done some crazy shit. 10 years ago, here in New Delhi, India, we were drinking all night, as is the custom. And then 3 a.m., I have to leave for the airport. So I'm saying bye. She's like, I'll drive you to the airport. Okay. So she's driving, okay. This is before MG Hector, otherwise. Driving in a small car, she's like, Then midway to the airport, we realize that we are on the wrong side of the highway. Cars are coming this side, but we are going this side. And I start freaking out. My friend is like, Kanan, don't worry. I'll just turn the car, drive over the divider, then we'll be on the correct side. Which is an insane suggestion. But equally crazy to be me in the car who says, go ahead. I've never done this. If this is possible, it cuts all travel time in half. You can just go sideways through the city. So she turns, drives the car over the divider, car gets stuck on the divider. 2 wheels this side, 2 wheels this side. Bottom of car scraping. Dude, we have to get out and try to pick up this car and push it over the divider. People are stopping on the highway like, "Aapne kaise kiya?" It took so long and it was so tiring, I missed my flight, okay. I thought I would bring up this story with her and her new husband, not knowing that they've been fighting about how she's a careless driver. I start my story with confidence. I'm like, remember that time many years ago, you said you'd drive me to the airport? And like she takes a step behind her husband and She wants me to not tell the story. Problem is, I'm already here. Can't just stop, right? To exit this emotion. So I'm like, fuck, quickly. I'm like, how do I get out? How do I get out? So what I did was, you'll appreciate this. I was like, this is the full story I told. Remember that time many years ago, you said you'd drive me to the airport? And then you did. And I took my flight. God bless everyone.
Coming over to Australia as well, like, I knew English fluently, but I didn't know all, like, the sayings and idioms and catchphrases. And you really need those to effectively communicate. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What does that mean? That means there's more than one way to do something. Just fucking say that. Why are we butchering Fluffy here? It's not even shorter, right? So I thought, okay, let me learn all the idioms, all the sayings. And I thought I'd learn all of them, but there was one I didn't know. I thought had a domestic meant had a domestic flight. So I went to work the next day. They were like, how's your weekend? I was like, terrible. They're like, what happened? I was like, I had the worst domestic. They're like, oh my God, why? I was like, first of all, the food was terrible. They're like, what an abusive asshole this guy is. They're like, maybe you just need more space. I'm like, yeah, but that costs extra.
Some men, though, they don't just blame their wives for stuff that they've done. They'll blame anything for their shit behaviour. And this is something I've gotten into. It's pretty good. I'm someone who quite likes living well beyond his means. And for my entire adult life, everyone around me has just been telling me I'm a dickhead who can't budget. But it turns out I went and got myself diagnosed with something. So, like everything else in my life, it's quite clearly not my fault. I knew I was a victim of some description. And while I'm here too, I'm not going to sink it into mental illness. It's bloody, that's crazy. What no one's reiterating for me with mental illness, though, is how great it is for people like professional athletes and myself to just rebrand our irresponsible shit behaviour on something that is largely and conveniently intangible. Excluding, of course, your more visible mental illnesses such as bodybuilding. But the actual mental illness, though, it is a serious issue. It's not something to poke fun at. Mental illness is serious now. It's as serious now as it is popular. And while I'm not a practitioner, I've never really had the spare time, I have dabbled. And I, of course, sought treatment to find out exactly why the world hasn't provided me with everything I deserve. And along the way, I found out that I have never actually done anything wrong. Although, pre-self-diagnosis, some of the things the Black Dog did on my behalf, Jesus Christ. If my condition allowed me to feel some form of shame or embarrassment, I'd be ashamed and embarrassed at what the Black Dog had done on my behalf. One time, the Black Dog didn't turn up to work for 2 months straight. I lost my job for that. There was no support network set up there for people like me who don't really like working. One time, right, the Black Dog sent some lewd photographs to the sister of a colleague of mine. She didn't want them, evidently. I got sacked for that, even after I explained that those photos came from a very dark place. My crotch. One time, right, I went down to the pub to blow the froth off an icy cold jar of suds on a hot night after a hard day's yakka. And while I was down there, the Black Dog has drunk 2 jugs of beer in quick succession and become quite belligerent. And he went up for his 3rd jug at the bar, and the bartender said, "Sir," which is historically the worst possible start to a sentence when addressing the Black Dog when he's had a skinful. He said, "Sir, why don't you make your 3rd jug a mid-strength?" To which the Black Dog replied, "Why don't you get fucked?" Do I look like a heavily pregnant woman to you? And then they booted me out on the street for that. At which point the black dog has busted 3 of my knuckles on a passing teenager's face. I didn't know the kid. The black dog must have had some history with him. And the society has decided to side with the 17-year-old boy with the broken jaw, leaving me to think, fucking hell, what about the real victim here? Me.
Well, let's crack on, shall we? Good evening, you well? Fantastic. I've been described as the hardest working man in comedy. Not that impressive, is it? The hardest working man in comedy. That's like being the best looking guy in the Burns unit. No offence to any Burns victims we got in. Are there any in? If there's one, there'll be fucking loads. They tend to stick together. And we're off. Someone came up to me outside and went, I thought you'd be younger. I said I was. I'm 40 years of age, but girls still check me out. I wouldn't mind, but they're so bloody obvious about it, pointing and whispering. Stranger danger. Every night after the show, I have attractive women banging on my dressing room door, and sometimes I let them out. Are there any comedy groupies in here this evening? Any gag hags? Any chuckle fuckers? The only reason I ask is if any girls come up to me after the show looking for sex, I'm going to have to disappoint you. I mean, we can have sex. Just it will be quite disappointing. I wouldn't lie to you, it'd be like throwing a sausage up an alleyway. More information than some of you wanted, okay. I'm a stand-up comedian, a TV host, an actor, and a writer. People ask me, what's your secret? I'm the M4 rapist. It's a joke. I've never been wrongly accused of rape. We all like a laugh, yes? That's the one thing we've all got in common in this room. We all like a laugh. It's a very British thing, I think, to come out of an evening with the express intention of just having a laugh. Here's a great fact about this country. The average person in Great Britain laughs out loud 10 times a day. Not everyone, obviously. If you work in a hospice or with learning disabled adults, it could be 10 times that. Sky's the limit. Yeah, that's my laugh, which is... someone said my laugh was weird. My laugh isn't weird, it's wrong. Because you're meant to laugh on an out-breath, aren't you? You're meant to laugh on a ha-ha, ha-ha-ha-ha. I laugh on an in-breath, so it's ha-ha-ha-ha. Sounds like a goose being interfered with. Someone asked me the other day, is it fake? Why would you fake that? They say that laughter is the best medicine, so maybe, just maybe, if we all keep laughing at people in wheelchairs. I'm a dreamer, what can I tell you? I was at a show recently, I don't know if anyone's had this experience. I was at a show, watching a band, and standing just under the fire escape, watching a band play, pint on with a mate, relaxing, and a lady from the venue came up to us, in the little waistcoat and the little name badge, came up and went, excuse me, you're going to have to move, because if there's a fire, you're blocking the exit. I said, I tell you what, love, if there's a fire, I'll move. Kidding retard. What did she think I was going to do in the event of a fire? Just stand there going, nobody move. Why is everything gone orangey and hot? I don't like it. Oh, mobile phones off. I should have said that at the top of the show. Mobile phones off as a courtesy to the other patrons in the auditorium. I say mobile phones. What I mean there is phones. No one's brought a landline, have they? Let's face facts, the landline is dead. When the landline goes in our house, there's panic. Shit the bed, who the fuck is that? We're both here. A lot of people text whilst driving. I'm not excusing it, but we've all done things we regret when we're drunk. I saw a thing on the news, it said that bad drivers are going to get on the spot £100 fines. I thought, it's a bit sexist. Do you understand that? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I'm not being sexist. How could it be? Some of my best friends are slags. Is it now? Now, is this sexist? You can be the judge on this. Sorry for being rude, but do you think chat-up lines are sexist? No, they're not. They're fun, right? I know they're cheesy, but they're meant to be cheesy. That is their charm. What's that one? I like that one. Get your coat. It's cold in the boot of my car. I don't know if this ever happened to any of you. I was checking into a hotel recently. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning after a gig up in Manchester. Walked into the reception area, and the guy recognised me and went, "Oh, Mr. Carr, we put you in a disabled room." I said, "Right, what's the difference between a normal room and a disabled room?" And he said, "The disabled room's got a walk-in shower." It's taking the fucking piss, isn't it? I've got a question for you, ladies and gentlemen. Does anyone in this room believe in the supernatural? Ghosts and spirits and the like? Yeah. Quite a lot of you. It's actually easy to tell if your house is haunted. It isn't. Grow up. That's me being cynical, but that's this job. Being a stand-up comedian, I think, makes you a bit of a cynic. Has anyone in here actually seen a ghost? Well, go on, what did you see, madam? Tell us the story. And there was no one there. Go on, what did you see? I'm not, I make you nervous. You've seen the undead. And I make you nervous. Doesn't really show me in a good light, does it? Come on. Where were you when you saw the apparition? You were in a friend's house, right? Her stepfather was what, sorry? I think I may have cracked this case already. There's a stepfather involved. Was there ectoplasm? Go on, what happened? Were you upstairs? Were you... You were in his son's bedroom? Of course you were, love. Go on. He had died. You should have mentioned that sooner. And then you started seeing weird shit. I'm loving this. There's a special name for people that have seen ghosts. Schizophrenic. All the best with your future. Quite an in-depth story. I'll leave it at that. Stepfather did something terrible, and you've recoded that memory. Of course, not all fat people are jolly. Some of them are women. I shouldn't be mean. Fat girls have got feelings. Mainly, they're hungry. It's only a joke, isn't it? It's only a bit of fun. I told it the other night and a girl got up and walked out. Well, waddled out. I presume offended, possibly just peckish. Whenever I'm in the changing rooms at the gym, I'm always embarrassed by the fact my penis is so much bigger than everyone else's. But then in fairness, it is erect. Islamic fundamentalist sex dolls. Do they blow themselves up? In Palestinian passports under occupation, do they just put Israel? That joke is only there to test where the Guardian readers are sitting. No further questions, back to the knob gags. I do talk about sex a lot in my show. I talk about sex all the time on stage. And a friend called me on it recently. Came to see the gig and he went, "You talk about sex all the time. Are you obsessed?" I said, "Well, I'm not obsessed. But sex is the great universal topic for comedy. It's still quite taboo to talk about it openly in public. Everyone's interested, everyone cranes forward, and there's a lot of tension around sex. And where you find that kind of tension, that's also a great place to find laughter. So sex is a great topic for comedy. But it's difficult to stand in front of you good people and talk about sex without sounding crude. So to try and mitigate that, to try and alleviate that, this evening, if I refer to a vagina at any point, I'll be calling it a twinkle cave." As in, so there I was, licking out a twinkle cave, while she deep-throated my tummy banana. It's nice to be nice, isn't it? I saw a woman wearing a top, it said super dry on the front. I said, "Have you thought about lubricants or HRT? Maybe a little bit of Aussie charm? Are you familiar with the term Aussie charm? just means... Australian charm, you're welcome. Very pleasing look from the ladies of London as if to say, well, I didn't know that had a name, but yes, that does happen. My girlfriend bought a t-shirt for £80. That's a ridiculous amount to spend on a t-shirt, am I right? It said D&G on the front. I suppose fair enough. One of her tits is bigger than the other. I thought my girlfriend was a slag when she told me I was her 30-second lover, and then I realised she was talking about time. There is a minimum comprehension level. You may be asked to leave. My ideal woman would be a single mum once I'd finished with her. It's a joke. I'd pay for the abortion. Ah, got you again. I fucking wouldn't.
And all of us, we're born without dreams, okay? But dreams enter your life in childhood. There's a game that we play that fucks us all up, okay? It's called Ghar Ghar. Do you know? Ghar Ghar in English is house, house. It's essentially a game where children enact patriarchal domestic life for fun. You see your parents, you see their real life, and you play it in front of them to hurt their feelings. Your parents are watching a documentary of their lives, performed by small versions of them. Yeah. Ghar Ghar is the only non-fiction children's game. Others involve imagination, like, I'm Batman, I'm Spider-Man. House is like, aaj fir se bhindi. Now, I used to play in the 90s with my sisters, who used to force me to be Papa, okay, in House. Papa is the worst fucking thing to be in House. Papa was not in the game. Most of the game, Papa's not there. Right? You have to do a full day. So you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, good morning, children. They're like, good morning, Papa. Time for office. You just have to leave. And stand in a different corner of the room and watch them playing House. Which looks like fun. Meanwhile, you have to play Office. Fucking sucks. Hello, Gupta, not now. You come home in the evening of the game, you are like, hello, children. They're like, yay, Papa's home. Time for sleeping, Papa. Papa never gets to have any fun. That's why Papa drinks. In my 30s, I understand Papa completely. Games that kids play are a reflection of how they think and the things they see. And I had another friend who invented his own game called Funeral, which is, no, it's what it sounds like. We used to go to the park, he would lie down, I had to cover him with sticks and mourn. Yeah. He would get angry if I didn't mourn like enough. If I just like said terrible tragedy and all, from within the sticks he's like, Karan, I'm not feeling that you're sad. The emotion is not coming out. So I had to be like, oh, hi. You know, this is the highest form of Asian sadness. It's when you hit yourself, God, why didn't you take me? At funerals, there's always someone trying to broker a deal with God. No, take me, give them back 2 packets of kurkure. And someone tells them it doesn't work like this. You can't just exchange. I know, I do this for attention. One day, funeral kid came to our house to play, okay? He wants to play his game, we want to play our game. So we have to come to a compromise, okay? And invent a new game called House, Funeral. Which is very tough. As you can imagine, yeah. Woke up in the morning of the game, half the people dead. I missed it, I was in office. Imagine my shock. What? Everyone's dead. Gupta, not now. You play house, and your first two dreams form in your head. Domestic dream, employment dream. One day I'll get to grow up and do all this for real. And guess what? You have grown up. And how much fun is house? Is it everything you wished for? What is the reality of playing house as adults? It's getting yelled at by a partner who is supposed to love you for an abstract reason. Why haven't you refilled the ice cube tray? I forgot. Why did you forget? Why do you remember? We can't have metaphysical arguments. Next time I'm about to forget. Before that, I'll remember instead. What the Problem is, you grow up, okay, and you start living alone and you develop your own system. Now, it's a way of doing things that only make sense to you to minimize your life's entropy, okay. Everyone in that house, they have like one watch that's 15 minutes fast. And then you ask, like, why is this watch 15 minutes fast? So, bro, actually when it's 9:15, it's 9 o'clock. Series of stupid decisions stacked on top of each other. One day you'll come home, you take off your shoes, you put it here, and then you will decide. This is the shoe place. From now until forever, all shoes shall be placed here, shoe place. Your system makes sense. Then you invite some new dumb fuck into your life. They have their own system, which is wrong. And the clash of systems is what gives rise to all your fights, right? You thought you would have like cinematic Hollywood fights. Like, why don't you love me anymore, Vikas? But fights are more arbitrary. Why is there wet towel on the bed? Sometimes you fight with someone and you're like, this might be a new fight that we are premiering in the world. Especially during COVID, sometimes you fight and you're like, I don't think anyone's had this fight before. You're just washing the dishes, they'll come and start talking. Sorry, what's that? I am using too much soap. God. No, it's okay. I had forgotten about the global soap shortage, actually. No, I don't have to be sarcastic. I enjoy being sarcastic. The tap is dirty, that's your fucking moment. You also do lots of shit, okay? Oh, what shit? Tell me where the towel is right now. Is it in the place where towels should be, or is it on the... Yes, okay. Yes, fine. Let's not fight. Let's forget this fight. If you're with someone for long enough, you start agreeing to forget fights. It's amazing. You're like, all conflict has no solution. So what we'll do is, you forget, I'll forget. Next time we fight, we'll remember. Then you have to negotiate the terms of this amnesia. Can't just forget. What will it take to forget? Like, what do you want? Dinner? I'm making dinner already. Yeah, okay. You want a drink? Yeah, sure. I got a whiskey right here. What do you want? Soda, water, what? Ice. Fuck. House gets less fun the longer it goes on. Dude, if you're with someone for a long time, people say like the magic is gone, right? People say like if you're with someone for a long time, the magic is gone. The magic isn't gone, you just know how the trick is done. This just seems less magical than it used to. You start, when you meet someone, you're like, oh my God, you look so amazing all the time. You look so amazing all the time. How do you always look so amazing? And then you know after some time, oh, it's because you take 1.5 hours to get ready. And your products dominate the bathroom and we are late for all occasions. You're so funny all the time. You're always making jokes. How are you so funny all the time? And then you know, oh, it's because you have a one-dimensional personality. And you're scared of conflict, so you just make jokes instead of talking about your feelings. Oh my God, you understand me so well. It's like you know me better than I know myself. and you use that knowledge to manipulate me. House, no fun!
I got married recently. It's quite exciting. My wife, me and my wife, we're called an interracial couple. I'm brown, she's interracial. No, she's a white lady, right? She likes to exercise, she likes to work out, she likes to do yoga. She tries to get me to do yoga. I'm like, don't force your culture onto me. All right? We're very similar in a lot of ways, but in a couple of key ways we're different. Like how quickly we fall asleep. I take half an hour to fall asleep. Her head, as soon as it hits the pillow, she's gone. It's like, how good was your childhood that you're not spending 30 minutes just processing trauma? I'm doing right shoulder, left shoulder, leg in, leg out. She's snoring the whole time. And she likes to listen to true crime podcasts as she goes to sleep. But she falls asleep in seconds, so now it's just me and the podcast. And I'm hearing it come out of her headphones, and it's going, and his head was separated from his body. It's terrifying, right? Very concerning. Another little way me and my wife are different is how we watch movies. Like, together we'll pick a nice movie, and then I'll sit down and do this crazy, insane thing where I'll watch the movie. She's immediately on her phone, the Instagram, TikTok, 2 inches from her face. When she's feeling ambitious, she gets a secondary headphone, secondary video. Right? Like, we're watching Shogun. She doesn't know Japanese. She doesn't care. She hasn't looked up at the screen in 45 seconds. How do I know? Because I'm not looking at the screen either. I'm counting the seconds looking at her. Now, no one's watching the screen, right? Sometimes she'll come to my shows, sit in the back, and watch videos of Jerry Seinfeld. It's like, this guy's great. You should be more like him. Another way we're different is our walking speed, right? One of us walks a little faster than... I'm the slow walker. Of course I'm the... What a twist! What a twist. Of course I'm the slow walker. I need hydration to talk to you guys for an hour. But here's the thing, right? As the fast walker, she can walk slower much more easily than I can walk faster. But she doesn't because she's inconsiderate. It's so much easier to walk slower if you're the faster one, but she doesn't do it. The big concession she's made now is she'll walk 50 steps ahead, pull over, and wait for me to catch up. Then I'll finally catch up. She's gone again. I'm about to... From a distance, it looks like we're doing high-impact interval training. It's brutal, you know? Recently, we were on one of these adjacent walks, and we bumped into some friends. And they're like, what's wrong? Are you fighting? You're walking 50 feet apart. I was like, we're not fighting. She's just inconsiderate. I was like, it sounds like you're fighting. And I was like, it looks bad to friends. It must look even worse to strangers. Because what they see is a small white lady walking quickly, nervously looking over her shoulder. And then I'm like, oh my God, we're seeing a crime happen in real time. Someone please call the cops. But that's love. Love is fascinating, right? Because every Hollywood movie tells us love is the most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. The most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. I don't know if that's true. Like, have you ever been in the leftmost lane with the green left arrow, but the dude in front of you wants to go straight? You know, the vicious rage you feel? Have you ever felt that much love for anyone? And it's not even anger, right? It's other feelings as well, like fear. Like, have you ever locked eyes with a cockroach and seen it take flight? When a 2D problem becomes a 3D problem. That's not even my biggest fear. My biggest fear is seeing an end school zone sign without having seen the first sign. Now you're telling me? I can't do anything about it now. It's brutal, right? I was like, okay, maybe love is the most powerful. Maybe it's the most resilient, right? Because why do we unguard ourselves so much in the pursuit of love? Maybe it's the most resilient. And I was like, yeah, that sounds nice. And I believed it for years. Until I caught up with a mate of mine that I hadn't seen for ages. And he went, Suraj, I just got married. She's an amazing lady, the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I'd take a bullet for her. I'd die for her. I went, fantastic. Then I caught up with him 6 months later. I was like, how's it going? He's like, don't even say her name. I was like, what happened to the bullet thing? That's when I realized romantic love is actually the most fragile, right? It can be everything one day, nothing the next. In fact, every other kind of love is more resilient than romantic love. Like, take, for example, I love pizza. 10 years from now, I'm gonna love pizza. That is more guaranteed than all our romantic loves put together. Isn't that terrifying? Like 10 years from now, you'll be in Woolies with a partner different to the one you have now. You look over to the freezer section and see a pizza and you go, I bet Suraj still loves pizza. And I wish her the best wherever she is. The lady I took to Suraj's show. You know? Coming over to Australia as well, like, I knew English fluently, but I didn't know all, like, the sayings and idioms and catchphrases. And you really need those to effectively communicate. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What does that mean? That means there's more than one way to do something. Just fucking say that. Why are we butchering Fluffy here? It's not even shorter, right? So I thought, okay, let me learn all the idioms, all the sayings. And I thought I'd learn all of them, but there was one I didn't know. I thought had a domestic meant had a domestic flight. So I went to work the next day. They were like, how's your weekend? I was like, terrible. They're like, what happened? I was like, I had the worst domestic. They're like, oh my God, why? I was like, first of all, the food was terrible. They're like, what an abusive asshole this guy is. They're like, maybe you just need more space. I'm like, yeah, but that costs extra. Lately, I've been trying to get into better shape, right? I realized I'd started to get too fat. I properly realized I was getting too fat when I stopped fitting in my wristwatch. That's how you know you've been getting fat for a while, right? Because no one's like, as soon as I eat, it goes straight to my wrist. That's one of the last places to grow in diameter. There are so many other warning lights going off in the body before the wrist finally just gives out. Do you know how brutal it is? Like, all my friends from high school, they're trying to get back into their wedding dresses. I'm trying to get back into my Casio. Do you know how harsh it is to take the little baggie of links to the Casio shop? They're like, who's that for? That's for me. It's like, please put me back in my watch. I have eaten my way out of knowing the time. Isn't that crazy though? Like, have you ever gotten so fat you don't know what time it is? It's like fourth dimensionally fat, right? Like, I'm behind the bookcase pushing the books out. Sure, they're mostly cookbooks, but whatever. It's tough, you know? So lately I've been thinking, you know, I gotta get into better shape. How can I do it? Like, I went to my doctor and one of the things that made me really want to reconsider was when on Instagram, unprompted, an ice cream shop started following me. They're like, this will be good for our business, actually, if we get into the ground floor with this guy. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're pre-diabetic. I'm like, oh, that sounds bad. Do I have diabetes or don't I? He's like, both. Because everything else, you either have it or you don't, right? No one's like, oh, you keep going to that nightclub, you're 3 weeks pre-herpes. You either have it or you don't. So now I'm like concerned about my health. I'm like, oh my God, my liver, all this kind of stuff. I'm taking an Uber back from the doctor's place. And the guy that was driving me, he was also like this in shape, like personal trainer kind of guy. And we had a beautiful like 20-minute conversation where he was guiding me through plans on how I can eat healthier, how I can start exercising. And he gave me this great outline. And it was just a beautiful moment of two strangers connecting. Right? And it would have stayed a beautiful moment had he not 15 minutes later also been my Uber Eats driver. The disappointment in his face as he brought a single pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, set it down and took a photo of it. And I'm looking through the drapes and I can see his disappointment and I feel a bit bad as well. But mostly I feel excited because the Ben & Jerry's is here. I was like, this is brutal, you know? Like, do you ever get paranoid at the ice cream parlor? That's how you know I'm out of shape, right? When my stories start like that. But do you ever get paranoid at the ice cream parlor that if you order 2 scoops, they'll give you 2 80% size scoops? That's a big concern of mine, right? So I figured out a way around it, right? This is what I do now. I go in and I go, I'll just have 1 scoop of the chocolate, please. And he gives me a big behemoth chocolate scoop. And I go, I think I'll be bad. I'll have a scoop of strawberry on top of that. Now he's shown me his hand. He's shown me how big a scoop is. He can't put a little cherry-sized scoop on this behemoth scoop. Gotta give me 2 behemoth scoops. I'm like, aha! He's like, Suraj, you come here every week. I'm happy to give you the extra ice cream. We don't have to do this dance. I'm like, I like the dance. Let's do it. I was catching up with family recently, and my cousin, she is what you would call a coconut. Anyone want to describe to me what a coconut is? Yeah. My brown friends here. Yes, exactly. Brown on the outside, white on the inside, right? She was born and raised in California. So she's a California girl, but she looks like me, right? Without the beard. Good for her, right? I remember like her mom, my aunt, caught her having done cocaine, but the way she found out was by reading her diary. Which is the least cool way of being caught doing the coolest thing? Because whose life is like, dear diary? How's that your life? But let's talk about something a bit more lighthearted. Do we really need equality? Don't worry, I won't leave after saying that. One day I might, right? But this is what I think, right? My wife, she studied law and politics her whole life. She's much smarter than me. I know nothing about politics. We both get 1 vote. I think that's fucked up. We don't do that with anything else, right? We don't do that with science. We don't go, Suraj, the rocket scientists, they think we'll need 3,000 tons of propellant fuel to land this rover on Mars. What do you think? Yeah, well, the other day the fuel light came on in my car, but I still drove all the way to Parramatta. So maybe not 3,000 tons, like 2,780 maybe. There's more in there that they don't tell you about. Like I feel like rockets are built the same way. Because I'm concerned of how much of a dumbass I am for the voting power I have, right? I have these giant gaps in knowledge. Like for the longest time, I thought there were 2 kinds of coconut. I thought there was the green coconut and the brown hairy coconut. And it wasn't until I cut open a green coconut and pulled the brown hairy coconut out that I realized there's half as many coconuts as I think there are, man. And I've been voting for 13 years. That's terrifying, right? And my favorite thing about that is 1 in every 2 shows, someone comes up after and goes, "Thank you for the coconut information." It's like tonight's gonna be one of those nights. Just giant gaps in knowledge, right? Like some years ago, I had some stomach issues. I had an endoscopy and a colonoscopy, and I thought they do them both at the same time. I thought they just lay me down flat, and like jousting knights come from both sides. Like, you know when 2 buses pass each other and wave? I thought that was gonna happen in my stomach. Just huge gaps in knowledge, right? Like, I was born C-section, and I know C-section and cesarean are the same thing, but it took me 27 years to realize the C stood for cesarean. Because I thought they cut a C to make a door to get the baby out. That makes sense, right? In my cartoon head, I'm like, yeah. I was talking to my friend, I was like, I don't know why they make 3 cuts. They should just make 1 cut. He's like, they do make 1 cut. I'm glad they moved away from the door technique. It was a bit barbaric, I think. Just giant gaps in knowledge that I'm walking around with. That's why I think they should have some kind of test before you can vote, right? Like the basics, right? Like, question 1, are you a flat earther? Because right now, there's over 35,000 members in the International Flat Earth Society on both sides of the world. It's concerning, you know? I was visiting with family recently. I've actually started living in Brisbane for a little while to hang out with my grandparents. Because my grandparents are almost 90 now. And so I want to hang out and hear their stories. It's interesting because they're almost 90, I'm 30, and our bodies are decaying at the same rate. Like, I don't know how my grandpas figured it out, right? But these old Indian guys have something, like all the monks that live in the mountains and stuff. Do you know if the monk that has had his arm up for 50 years? Yeah, you're aware of him, right? Yeah. So this guy's had his arm up for 50 years, and apparently he did that for world peace. So he must be watching the news going, fuck. I'm not helping at all right now. God damn it. Also, apparently after 2 years of agonizing pain, his arm just atrophied and now he can't lower it. So I think we're giving him too much credit for the last 48. Like, he's trying to lower it. He's bumping into shit trying to lower it. He's pissed off that he can't lower it. Meanwhile, everyone else in the village is pissed off because they can't get a cab. He's got 17 cabs lined up. You know, it's brutal, you know? Like, it makes me wonder, like, because technically his arm has atrophied and now he is technically disabled, right? But he did that to himself. So it's an ethical dilemma. Like, would you give up your seat for him on public transport? On the one hand, he is disabled, so maybe you should. But on the other hand, is there anyone more prepared to stand on the train? This guy's been ready all day. I also like to imagine his housemates getting him to do chores he doesn't want to do. Like, who wants to clean the toilet? Yeah, damn it! I'm glad we're all flying again, you know. Like, when I'm flying, I don't really care what I'm watching. I'm more interested in what the person next to me is watching because it gives me a window into their personality. So I thought they must be doing the same thing. So now to mess with people, I bring my laptop on board and just marathon air crash investigations. Just season after season. And you can see them getting nervous. Like, they don't want to racially profile me, but they do have questions. They're like, why are you taking down notes? Why did you just write fuselage down 3 times? Why did you circle our seats? You know, but it's fun. Like, I waste a lot of time watching a lot of dumb TV, whether it's documentaries or otherwise. Like, you guys know The Voice? Yeah, I watch The Voice. I go, the idea behind The Voice being Hollywood cares too much about people's looks, so we'll turn their chairs away so they can press a button and rotate. But that's not a realistic representation of what Hollywood is. So I thought what would be better was if they had a second button so they could start rotating, press it, and keep rotating. That made sense to me, right? When I was visiting my folks recently, my uncle, like, he's a good dude at heart, but he picks the weirdest time to say stuff, right? The other day, my little cousin, 5 years old, runs in crying. And my uncle goes, "What's wrong?" My little cousin goes, "Today, somebody called me ugly." In one of his teachable moments, my uncle goes, "There's something beautiful in everyone. And that's we should have stopped." Instead, he continued with, "For you, it might not be the face." A single tear rolled out of his good eye. So, when I was a young teenager, I didn't know a lot about the world, right? Like, do you guys know that the swastika is also a Hindu symbol? Yeah. So, as a teenager, I actually got a swastika tattoo. And it wasn't until a bit later that I realized it's also a Hindu symbol. I think that one's gonna make it. I'll tell you about my parents, man. My parents, they love to argue, right? Like any other ethnic parents, they just love arguing. Give us a yell. Any children of divorce here? Yeah. How old were you, if you don't mind, when your parents got divorced? 16, so it was your fault. No, right. I'm from a house of should have been divorced. My parents were like, we could get divorced, or we can stay together and fight for 30 years. That way we can really fuck him up. Right? Like sometimes children of divorce, they feel guilt for their parents breaking up. I feel guilt for them staying together. I feel like I could have put more pressure on their marriage. I was too nice a kid. I was going to bed on time. I was doing my homework. I have survivor's guilt. Their marriage survived, and I have guilt. And it wouldn't even be out of any personal, selfish reasons, right? I wouldn't get 2 Christmases. I'm Hindu. I would stay at 0 Christmases. It would just be for the betterment of the world. But now what's happened is because of, a little bit because of that, I think, me and my wife, we also love an argument, right? We love getting into a few arguments. Do you ever, when you're in an argument with your partner, do you ever think of something so mean to say that you're like, I can't say that. That's way too mean. I can't say, that's way too mean. Then they say one more thing. And you're like, release the hounds. Let's say the worst thing. You're just like your mother. That's just getting warmed up. This next one, if you want to go nuclear, feel free to use this one. You don't have imposter syndrome, you're just not good at your job. That one stays with you. Like 3 weeks after the argument, you're like, fuck. So, like the other day, my wife said to me, sometimes I think you care more about who wins the argument than you do about us. And I said, sounds like I won that argument. I put it up on the board. She doesn't like the board. I'm 17 and 4 in this marriage. I need the people to know. I go tell my therapist, I'm like, I won again. My therapist is like, you don't understand marriage or therapy. Also, I'm your physical therapist. Let me just work on your knee and stop saying you won against your wife. But you end up comparing yourself to other couples. It's only natural. Like, do you have those couples, friends of yours, that are like oh, we never fight. We never fight. These are the same people that'll take a photo at a wedding and go, we love love. No, don't you just love love? We never fight. Sometimes we quibble, but we never fight. One of my quibble friends got divorced recently, and I've never celebrated more. I called him up, I was like, are you quibbling about custody? What's up? Put your kid on the line. I want to figure out what he did that I could never do.
Well, one thing they have done quite well, right, nerds, is that they've started making podcasts. But people said to me, you should listen to podcasts. And podcasts, to me, are just really unhygienic former encouragement award recipients in pairs, delivering an unsolicited frame-by-frame analysis of a fucking movie made specifically for children. Every week, forever. And that's necessary. But people said to me, you could learn a lot from podcasts, mate. You should listen to them. I started listening to them, right, because I listen. And I started listening to the crime ones. And who doesn't love crime? What a boon that's been for all of us. Can you imagine a world without murders to solve? What an absolute bore. I, for one, wouldn't want to live there. But they said you can learn some stuff, mate. Listen to podcasts. So I started listening to crime ones. And I learned one thing. And that is that the police... even more incompetent than I first thought. Unbelievable. And don't get me wrong, I quite like the fuzz, right? One time, a tree fell down across our street. They turned up, directed traffic around it, did a pretty good job. Sometimes they got on horses and just plough through a throng of people to remind us to continue to behave ourselves. Who here hasn't walked out the front of a footy stadium and felt the squelch of a Clydesdale turd right up the side of their sandal? And thought, I feel safe now. Knowing that if things turn south, I might earn myself a taxpayer-funded kick in the face from a half-ton animal. So, one thing they have done very well too, I don't want to rip into the pigs, I quite like them. They've pretty much gotten rid of drink driving in about a generation and a half. It's been a lot of hard work and they've done a very good job of this. But there are still a few men out there living the dream. I know some, and every drink driving story I've ever heard, it always starts with, look, I shouldn't have done that. And it ends with, man, if only I'd done this one little thing differently, the bastards wouldn't have caught me. I should have just stuck to the back streets like I usually do. I pulled out on the main road. The bacon was set up right there, the pricks. What are they doing anyway? Why aren't they out there catching the real crooks? Instead of hassling a good bloke like me, just going about his business, committing a crime. And all of these blokes, they've got a theory on how to sober up in a hurry. Everyone's got one of these. They're all bullshit. None of them work. I've got to tell you. It's all like, oh, you know what you should do, mate? You should have a 5-minute nap, a 10-minute shower, bloody run around the car 4 times. Bloody drink 7 litres of water, get a punch in the face from your best mate in between each litre. Yeah. Do 12 push-ups. But it's bullshit. None of them work. In my experience, the only thing that will sober you up in a very big hurry is to just run over someone on your way home from the pub. Yeah. Oh. If you're not awake after that, you may never be. So the other thing I quite like about the cops, right, is their complete lack of shame and embarrassment in asking for help to solve a crime from the very same public who pay their fucking wages. And on a personal level, I don't mind this. I can't tell you how many times a squad car full of the filth had turned up at my work. I said, what is that, mate? Is that 4 pallets of bricks that you've got to carry up 10 flights of stairs? No problem. Get out, fellas. Let's muck in and help this guy out. And at the end of the day, I say, thanks, lads. That was really nice of you. In return, I'll just keep my ear to the ground around the neighbourhood and give you a tingle if something pops up. This is what happened to me in terms of the cops, right? I was embroiled in a street brawl, and it was a big one. It was one of those ones where later on, onlookers get referred to as witnesses. It was huge. The street got shut off, made the news, everything. It was a massive fight. There was heaps of fights breaking out, spot fights all over. The particular localised melee I was involved in ended up, there's like 2-on-2s, few 1-on-1 fights. The one I was in, it ended up being 1 versus 6. And I like to say I gave a good account of myself, but then there were 6 of us, so... A little tip from the top. If you're involved in a street fight and there's a man walking towards you and he does that spit through his teeth, he's a fucking good fighter. You don't learn to do that until you cracked a few skulls. It was also one of those fights where improvised weapons were being used, which is a disturbing trend that's only begun since the nanny state took all our guns. I saw a guy sliding a tin of spaghetti into a sock. That's what we've been reduced to in terms of street weaponry. It's embarrassing on a world scale. Anyway, the fight kicked off. It was a massive fight. And the boys in blue turned up. 4 of them at first, heaps later on. But the first 4 who rolled up, they were all walking abreast along the footpath towards the fight. And 2 of them were chewing gum, and one of them had a neck tat. They look like a modern-day slips cordon that I'm supposed to respect. And the 4th one, he was fat. And, I don't care. Follow your dreams. It's nothing to... It's fine. I'm all for equal employment opportunities. I'm not a fascist. In fact, I'm a campaigner. I'm not going to rest until everyone with a lisp has a job on the radio. And all firemen are wheelchair bound. Or fire women. Don't panic. Women can be disabled now too if they want. But this was like a fat, not a bit overweight. He's a proper fat cop. But that's, whatever. But this is something I'll be teaching my kids, right? When you're running away from the cops, right, normal one, skinny one, just straight line, fast as you can. Get ready to do a little sidestep. Some of them can be shifty when they go in for the tackle. When there's a fat cop around, though, they're not even going to give chase. They're going straight to plan B, sitting on the hip there, just pointing in the general direction of noise and kablam. See what happens, sort that out with some paperwork later on. So when there's a fat cop around, kids, just be prepared to do some zigzag running. You're going to look like a silly Billy. But it's better to be a silly Billy and alive than one of those corpses about whom people say there lies a man who never compromised his dignity around obese law enforcement. So this fight, right, it was just winding down. It was just coming to the end of it. And I was getting shoveled in the back of a paddy wagon by some of these goons. And one of them, right, he had his elbow on the back of my neck. He was about half my age. He just put me in the van. He said, mate, we're going to take you down the station. We're going to charge you with common assault. You should take a long, hard look at yourself. So should I, young fella? Maybe you should take a long, hard look at yourself. Because I've just bitten a man's nose off. And then I punched him out of his shoes. And you've got the audacity to call that common. So they're all right at this sort of stuff, right? Your entry-level policing. But when it comes, from listening to podcasts, when it comes to solving a murder, the pigs are fucking useless. They cannot do the job. There must be a lot of retired policemen up there in Queensland, the retirement location of choice for all inept policemen. Just sitting there on the Sunshine Coast, just dragging the drinks trolley over to their cane lounger, thinking, oh shit, I hope I die before all the unturned stones of my shit career get catalogued for the whole world to see in a podcast. And all that sunshine and beer, that does nothing for a man's memory. The rapid onset of dementia is staggering when a tenacious podcaster knocks on the door. The number one leading cause of dementia in old men is, of course, being accused of some pervert shit from 40 years ago. They can't remember a fucking thing once that got us. And while I'm down here too, I don't want to rip into dementia. I'm not sinking the slipper in there, that's fine. Like, it's one of those things, dementia, that we'll all have to deal with at one stage of our lives. Someone we know will have it, or we will, whatever. But what no one's saying about dementia is how much of a handy evolutionary tool it is just to prevent old men from going out and settling all their long-standing vendettas. And can you imagine a world where all the men remembered every single shit thing that had been done to them throughout the course of their lives? It'd be absolute carnage when they reach a point where nothing else matters. There'd be so much, hey, Dale, just put a bag of lime and a shovel in the boot. Just off to knock off all 3 of our sons-in-law. I hate their guts. None of them are good enough for our girls. And while I'm at it, I'm going to rub out that bloke who put 13 items through on the 12 and under aisle 25 years ago. I still remember that. Paid with a cheque. Really pissed me off. Where are the car keys? What was I talking about? I better just go and watch some telly. Dementia saves a lot of lives. Take it easy on me. So when I'm listening to podcasts, right, okay, it gets to a point where the crime ones, they'll say, oh, the family, they were desperate after a year. They didn't know what else to do, so they turned to a psychic for help. And I listen to that and think, what? What were you thinking, man? You've waited a year for that. What a kick in the teeth that is to the science of clairvoyance. Everybody knows the moment somebody goes missing, you look at the horoscopes from that day and work backwards from there. It's almost as if these husbands and stepsons don't want the crime solved in the first place. But that's how crimes are getting solved now. It's pretty much by podcasters more than the police. Someone I know got murdered, right, not by me. And I didn't even call the police. I just found my nearest dork and just yanked him out from underneath his Darth Vader doona, which are incidentally now available in King Single for your larger single man. And I just bought him a new computer and a microphone, told him to stop hitting himself and start a podcast and fucking sort it out. And that's how the filth, they're just sitting down at the station listening to podcasts hoping a clue pops up. We're supposed to respect them.